So we are approaching 5 years since the police murder of Minneapolis resident George Floyd. All across the nation, his death has prompted fundamental changes in the way police departments operate.
Today, the Trump Justice Department reversed course on civil rights agreements with several U.S. cities, including Minneapolis. Tonight, NBC5 Investigates looked into why Chicago is not among cities where consent decrees are being dropped. Our investigative reporter Chuck Gowdy joining us now with some answers. Chuck?
Alice and Stephan, to use an old gangland term, Chicago is untouchable from the long arm of the Justice Department in Washington. That's because CPD's civil rights reforms are now being managed by the Illinois Attorney General, not the federal government, as is the case in Minneapolis, Memphis, Phoenix, Oklahoma City, and other cities where there have been significant brutality complaints. And so in Chicago, the police reforms that began under the Obama administration roll forward in a localized effort with the same aim: constitutional policing.
If I was a police, don't shoot me, please, man.
When George Floyd was killed by a police knee to the neck here in Minneapolis 5 years ago Sunday, the Chicago Police Department was already in the throes of a civil rights and use of force reformation that had been announced almost 5 years earlier by then U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch in the late days of the Obama administration.
What we will be looking at again is the Chicago Police Department's method and manner of dealing with use of force, particularly deadly force, and whether or not we find racial, ethnic, and other disparities in how they handle those force allegations.
But in the beginning of the first Donald Trump presidency, the Trump DOJ tried to water down that consent decree in Chicago, and that's when the Illinois Attorney General filed a state lawsuit approved in 2019 that required CPD changes in use of force policies, training, and enforcement, a court-ordered movement that continues to this day. Why is Chicago untouchable by the Justice Department at this point?
It's because the Justice Department is not the party that brought the lawsuit.
Former Chicago Inspector General Joe Ferguson has been involved in police reform since the beginning and remains so as president of the Civic Federation. Tonight, then, as Minneapolis, Louisville, and other cities scramble to rescue their own police reform programs from the Justice Department that is now abandoning federal accountability agreements, Chicago is already well underway with state monitoring.
What we're seeing now out of Washington is really a more perfected form of the original intention, which was not to be in the police oversight game at all. People need to understand that the work is being done, and it's important to understand both the work, its import in terms of ultimate objectives, but also the importance that the public keep eyes on here to make sure the proper political pressure is brought to bear on the mayor and other elected officials.
Reforming Chicago police techniques and tactics is not a quick fix. The most recent CPD reform update filed in court shows that the police department has achieved full compliance in 16% of the targeted areas. Those changes span about 5 years. Keep in mind the consent decree is attempting to repair well-entrenched practices that began when the department was formed in 1855. And Stephan, still a ways to go.
It's a lot of history right there. Chuck Gowdy with us tonight. Thank you, Chuck. Appreciate it.